Good evening, Ariel, and welcome to part 2 of Bedtime Stories with Sidnee. And hi to anyone else who watches this. Continuing on with The School for Cats, we are now on page 12. There was great excitement in the school next morning. The new pupil, Jenny Linsky, was still up the chimney. Pickles shouted, "I've got a hook and ladder. I can get her down." Some laughed at this, but others thought that Pickles had already been too rough with little Jenny. Everybody thought that Jenny would come down for breakfast. She did not. After breakfast, when the teachers shooed the cats outdoors, they climbed the apple tree behind the school and tried to look down the chimney. Jenny was way up the chimney. She had climbed as far as possible, and as she sat there on a narrow brick, she said stubbornly to herself, "I won't eat, and I won't answer anyone. I'll just stay here." So when the teacher poked her head up, there she is, up the chimney. So when the teacher poked her head up the chimney and called, "Jenny, Jenny Linsky," there was no answer. And later, when the teacher called again to Jenny, there was silence in the chimney. But suddenly, there was a sneeze. A piece of soot had gotten inside of Jenny's nose, and when she sneezed, the brick that she was sitting on broke loose. A heap of soot poured down the chimney, and in the middle of the soot, right on the floor, sat Jenny Linsky. The teacher stooped to pick her up. Jenny squirmed and leaped through an open window and ran down the road as fast as possible. She ran so fast, in fact, that there was not a speck of soot left on her when, toward noon, she reached the village. Here she found a place of safety on the front pew of an empty church. Not long afterwards, while she was still inside the church, Jenny caught a whiff of school, and then the sound of voices. One was the teacher's, the other a boy's. The boy said, "No, I haven't seen a black cat anywhere. What happened? Did they fight?" "Not exactly," said the teacher. "It was Jenny's first night at school. At any school. A bigger cat named Pickles scared her with his hook and ladder. She ran off. I've hunted everywhere and cannot find her." "Lady," the boy said, "is it true that you teach reading and arithmetic to cats?" "No," replied the teacher. "Cats use a different kind of knowledge. I only try to teach them manners and cooperation, which means courtesy and getting on with one another." Jenny by this time had crawled through an open stained glass window. She hurried to the railroad tracks and sniffed the air, and although New York City was 100 miles away, she caught its smell. "Home is the place for me," she said, and turned in that direction. As she walked alongside the tracks through the field of daisies, she said, "You can have the daisies. Give me the sidewalks of New York." She rather liked the sound of this, so she repeated it and wished that Pickles might have been nearby to hear her say it. Here's the stained glass window.